I don't have a picture of him. I just have a picture of his website.
Okay.
Jason Bryant is on the phone. He's a 20-year law enforcement veteran. He has advanced training in active shooter events and other police tactics. He's a teacher for active shooter preparedness, and he's talking to us about the need for an active shooter preparedness plan in the workplace and how to enact one. Jason Bryant, good morning, sir. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Texas.
Okay. There's a little bit of a delay, so I want to apologize in advance for that. Hopefully it won't... Whoa. What's that?
I don't know.
Jason, tell me what we could do to protect ourselves better. Is there any across-the-board advice that would work for us?
Absolutely. The first thing I would do is, for organizations, is acknowledge the threat exists and implement a plan so that if your organization ever were attacked, then you can implement your plan during that attack and increase your chances of survival. We have a 3-point plan that we advocate. The first step being evade, and that means get away from the shooter by any means possible. A good example of that is in Virginia Tech. Some of the kids jumped out of a window 19 feet over the ground floor, and every kid that jumped out survived. The second step is shelter in place. If you're not able to evade, then find that place where you can shelter in place. We advocate that businesses pre-designate these shelters and make sure that they have commercial-grade locked doors. And what that means is a steel frame door with a solid wood core and a commercial-grade lock on it. If you can get behind a commercial-grade locked door, you're in a very safe place. And then lastly is have the commitment to counterattack and fight back. If you find that you're in the space when the attack actually happens, be prepared to fight back and swear a pact with all of your office mates, the people you spend your day with. If we're ever attacked, we're all going to fight back. There's no reason a gunman should be able to go into a room with 20, 30, or 40 people and hold them at bay. If every one of them counterattacked at once, they would easily overwhelm that gunman.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I think you're exactly right. So do you have advice on the website that'll kind of take us by the hand and show us how to get all that stuff set up and how to, I guess, have that conversation with the other people you work with?
Yes, we do. So we have all the plan that I talked about is detailed out, fairly detailed, and all of that content is created and is on that website. So if you go to activeshooterassessment.com and then you take the 10-question questionnaire, it'll tell you where your organization fits as far as how prepared you are, and it may identify some gaps or some holes. And then we have the content that you can use to fill in those gaps and those holes. We have a webinar, we have an ebook on there, and we also have links to software so large companies and organizations can message all of their employees simultaneously. And all of this planning and content is linkable on the website.
Should there be employees that are designated to conceal carry weapons for the good of the company?
So that's an individual decision that each organization is going to have to make, and it's going to vary from state to state based on state laws, and then also the culture of the organization itself. So there's no one-size-fits-all kind of answer for that particular question. It really depends on the culture of each individual organization.
The website I went to is alertfind.com. Is that good enough, or do I need to put the /active-shooter on that?
You can find us through alertfind.com. The activeshooterassessment.com will take you directly to that 10-question questionnaire. And then within there's links to all the other information.
Okay. So I'm a little bit confused. The alertfind.com page looks like it has a computer. So everything we need to know is online? Is like an ebook, you say?
Yes, sir. It's all linked in there. We have an ebook that I wrote as well as a webinar that trains the 3-step plan. So all of that content you can find at either website. There's links to it on both websites.
Should people in the law enforcement within our community, should they go out into the community and make themselves available to the businesses to assess the building that the businesses are in and to give them ways of defending any entranceways?
Absolutely. There's law enforcement agencies all across the nation that are training on the same principles. And they will go out to the community that they're in, their local community, and teach them active shooter response protocols.
And when the law enforcement does arrive on the scene, is it a good idea just for the law enforcement to shoot the shooter dead and not, to have any kind of trial or anything, in your opinion?
Well, so law enforcement is going to always use the minimum force necessary to effect an arrest or stop a situation. Quite often, with active shooters, that ends up being a shootout with the active shooter. And then sometimes the active shooter just commits suicide immediately upon our arrival. But the focus for law enforcement is always to stop the threat in the least aggressive way possible.
Well, I think the work you're doing is going to save lives, and I thank you for that, Jason. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. A second person has died in Toronto, shot by a man with a pistol firing at people on both sides of a street. There are 12 wounded, and Mayor John Tory says,
I promise all of the people of Toronto, but most importantly, those directly affected by this tragedy, that we will all be relentless in getting answers about why